Hello and welcome to our coverage of the Binational Innovation Conference 2014, being hosted at the Technology Center of South Texas College in McAllen, Texas, by the way, also in the McAllen International Free Trade Zone. We're having us joined at this particular point, Mario Reyes. Dean Reyes, thank you, the fellow who put together this conference and the one last year. And the gentleman all the way from Veracruz to Reynosa, he's the guy who was brought in collaboration to make a Petróleos Mexicanos University by Pedro Nieto, the new Presidente de Mexico in Los Pinos. This is the guy who has brought him aboard and gotten all these universities from Mexico and the United States together here at South Texas College to make something happen. And that happening happens to be to make sure that students in South Texas can get educated to a degree, to go to work as trained technicians, engineers, so forth in Mexico, and Mexican students, similarly to coming from Reynosa, from our two gentlemen to his left, they can also come aboard and get educated to come to the United States. Is that somewhat how it's going to work, Mario?
Well, thank you so much for having me on the program. The primary objective of our agreement is to make sure that the entire population knows about the many opportunities that are available. And knowing that there are opportunities, the only way anyone can take advantage of opportunities is if they are well educated. And with the two institutions, Instituto Internacional de Estudios Superiores and South Texas College, believe that the only way we can move forward as a region is for our population to take advantage of all the programs that we have available. So that is the reason that we signed the agreement, so that students from the U.S. and students from Mexico, if they choose to do so, they can come back and forth, take our courses, take our degrees, and graduate from both institutions at the same time. That is one of the objectives of the agreement that we have. It's still not formalized, but we are working towards that agreement. And the way it's going to work is that the faculty from their institution, the faculty from our institution will meet. They will review each course in the degrees that we have that are similar, and say, yes, these courses are similar, and we will grant each other credit. And once that happens, then we will have an opportunity for our students to graduate from two institutions at the same time.
Wow.
I think that is a fantastic opportunity for
one
all
Mexico, one U.S.,
That is-
one Tamaulipas, one Texas.
Well, it's going to be institution by institution.
One piece of paper, one graduation certificate.
Absolutely.
Fantastic.
That is the aim of the agreements that we're working with,
Wow.
and they are the first ones that we are trying to develop this agreement with. And as we move forward, this is how it's going to be.
Marvelous, marvelous. Fernando Ortiz and Miguel Sagun, welcome to our program. Thank you for having us both on the program.
Thank you for
very
having
much
us.
for joining us. How is this collaboration working with Mario at South Texas College and your university in Reynosa?
Well, we have like an academic effort between the two institutions to make this a scientific research conference efforts and bring all the business students and have one day in Mexico, second day in the United States, but we're trying to get this like transparent for all. So
Wonderful.
no borders.
Wonderful. And what is your capacity and how does it work? There's academics and there's also a social component?
Yes, and following up a little bit with what Dean Mario Reina mentioned before, is we're getting together both faculties, the Mexican faculty and the U.S. faculty. We're getting together and having meetings together to try to make sure that our programs, they are compatible programs, and in that way the students, as it was mentioned before, would be able to obtain both degrees, or the degrees that would be valid in both areas, in the United States and in Mexico.
What kind of skill levels, Dean Mario Reyes and Mr. Ortiz and Mr. Sagun, what skill levels are you looking for to provide to your students in order for them to end up with jobs, let's say in the energy sector?
Well, STC has a two-county area that we're responsible for, which is Hidalgo and Starr County. And what we do, we work with the economic developers to make sure that we have the programs needed in our community. So when it comes to the energy sector, I mean, the energy sector is broad in a sense that what they need welders. Fine. We have a program, a 2-year program in welding. They need electricians. We have a program, a 2-year program in electricians. They need business people. We have bachelor's degrees in business. So obviously what we don't have is a petroleum engineering degree because that's not our role. Our role is to support the population of Hidalgo and Starr County. So there's nothing of that sort happening in our area, but it is happening in Mexico. So we will support their institution with degrees that we have that meet our criteria for Hidalgo and Starr County. So, but we have 2-year degrees and we have bachelor's degrees. They have bachelor's degrees and master's degrees in Reynosa, and their degrees are concentrated mainly in business and information technology. But you tell them what you have.
We have 6 degrees that are business degrees, and we have 3 engineering degrees, mainly in industrial engineering. With basically we specialize in the quality area and the systems area within that same degree.
What you tell about the 6 business degrees that you have?
The business degrees that we have currently a marketing degree, accounting, and management, international business, that has been very successful from the past 15 years because of the nature of the activities that we in the border or as a border region have. And in addition to that, we also have law. But of course, that it's concentrated or focused on the Mexican law, not in the international law. But probably that would be something that we can start exploring within the near future. And now that we're interested on having or providing the possibility to our students to work on either the United States and Mexico, I think it's a good opportunity for us to start teaching both types of laws.
I'd like to mention that all our students are bilingual, so they can compete in the United States or in Mexico. And we are feeding all the maquila sector with our students, so they are getting good positions at the maquila sector. And our main core is the management, so we want to support the petroleum and energy industry with management and leadership skills.
So U.S. students, Mexican students will be going back and forth between the 2 institutions, one in Tamaulipas, one in Texas, back and forth.
That's the goal.
Wow.
That's the goal, and we haven't formalized that.
Still in its embryonic stages.
We haven't formalized that activity, that particular plan yet, but we do intend to do that. And we have the same vision, and our vision is that we're going to try to do as much as we can to make sure that our community, they have the right tools, the right skills, so they can have a better quality of life. That's our goal.
Thank you, Mr. Fernando Ortiz and Mr. Miguel Sagun from Reynosa and the University in Reynosa. And Dean Reyes, we will be back in a moment with a interview, not only with continuing with Mario Reyes, the dean of this facility here called the Technology Center of South Texas College, but also we will have an interview at that particular point in time with the president of the McAllen Economic Development Corporation, Mr. Keith Patridge. So stay tuned. Welcome back to the Binational Innovative Conference 2014 with Mario Reyna, the Dean of the Division of Business and Technology here at South Texas College. Now, Dean Reyna, we just had a wonderful conversation with 2 of your collaborators, Mr. Ortiz and Sagun from a university over in Reynosa. Now, you have really been, according to Rio Grande Guardian, the guy who's put together these memorandums of understanding, not only from this university in Reynosa, but the university in Veracruz. What's the reason for that, very briefly, for the audience, and how is that going to be meaningful not only to the region of this college, but also to Tamaulipas and Mexico and Texas and the United States?
Well, thank you so much again for the question, but I'd just like to point out that STC is a beautiful organization, and no one does anything here by themselves. What we're doing here is at the direction of our board, our president, and I am part of the team that works to bring all these agreements together. We are working not only with the Instituto Internacional de Estudios Superiores, but we're also working with the Autónoma de Tamaulipas, for example, Universidad Tecnológica de Tamaulipas, El Tecnológico de Reynosa, which is a federal school, and we initiated conversations with what the institute is called Tech Millennial, which is part of the Monterey Tech out of Monterey. So the reason for doing all this is that our economic developers believe, and we also believe the same thing, that the more the institutional of higher education work together, the easier it is for them to sell the region. Being that it's two countries, we have two different accreditation systems, it is hard sometimes for them to explain to companies that want to move down, well, this is what we do here, this is what they do there, and it's a lot easier if they can tell them they have an agreement, everything is the same, all the courses are the same, the degrees are the same, there's nothing else that needs to be explained. And it's an easier sell, if you will, to invite foreign corporations or domestic corporations to come to our area with the understanding that we're all working together and we're all producing students of the similar caliber.
Memorandums of Understanding, STC just worked with all of the school districts and Education and Service Center, doing the same thing on the U.S. side. What's going on with all of this collaboration and the dissolving boundary lines of school districts, and now the dissolving boundary line of the river with the two universities coming very briefly?
This is a good way of putting it.
Yeah.
You know, we have 13,000
Revolutionary.
Right.
Revolutionary.
13,000 students that are still in high school and in college at the same time. And this is part of our strategy of creating a college-going culture. And this is to improve, obviously, the opportunities for everybody in our community.
Get them educated, save time, save money, and get it done.
Same criteria working with Mexico, because
Wow.
it's going to do the same thing. It's a college-going culture for the entire region. And can you imagine that you have someone from Mexico or the U.S., if they chose to go to a school in Reynosa, having 2 degrees?
Yeah.
They become that much more powerful. They're worth more to the companies, and
Wow.
it creates a better environment for everybody.
No question, no question. Now, one of the most articulate guys as it relates to the importance of education in the workforce and prepared a trained workforce is Keith Patridge, president of the McAllen Economic Development Corporation. Here's what he had to say about that issue. Why is it important for students to go to South Texas College and other community colleges and get ready for what's going to be happening here, not only in Mexico, but in Eagle Ford and Shale?
Well, it's and it's not just the oil or gas industry, but it's really to take advantage of the opportunities that exist now in South Texas and the ones that we see coming in the future. And this whole innovation conference was really focused or centered around kind of putting the word out and letting people know what we see, the economic development professionals and the experts in gas and oil. Really, it's an opportunity to share with the rest of the community what we see happening. But education it's a great equalizer, as once was said by some very great people, and it's true today as it always has been. And it's really critical that we not only train our residents here for the jobs that exist now, but for the jobs that exist in the future. And then more importantly and this is where we kind of have that chicken and egg thing, we have to bring companies in that will need those jobs.
And that's your job.
That's our
Bring them
job.
in, bring
That's
them in.
our job. But one of the things that we see, for example, just as an example, is we now have a new university. All the communities in the valley have worked very hard to create UTRGV. And we're all very pleased that we now have a Tier 1 research institution coming into the valley. But then you start looking at that, well, what does that mean? That means we're going to start developing PhDs from our students that are in school today are going to have an opportunity to get a PhD here in UT RGV.
You're talking about students out of this college, South
That's
Texas
right.
College,
That's
right
right.
here.
That's right.
And out of this technology center, think about this, in this classroom where we are, how many employers are there within walking distance of this particular center in this free trade zone where your office is?
Oh, hundreds.
Hundreds of employers, so they can get their 2 years here, right here, South Texas College Technology Center, and then go next door and get a job.
That's
Hundreds of
exactly
employers right here.
That's exactly right.
Unbelievable.
And one of the strategies that I think we always have to remember is that a lot of families here don't have the ability financially to send their kids to college. But now, if they come to STC, especially in dual enrollment, where they're getting the college courses through South Texas College while they're in high school, when they graduate from high school, they have an associate's degree from the community college in a skill. They get a job with one of our local employers, and then our local employer says, if you stay with me, I'll send you to the university to get your college degree.
And that's a pretty good deal.
And that's a good deal, because
Thank you.
that means they don't have to pay for it.
Thank you. Keith Patridge, President of the McAllen Economic Development Corporation. So there he is. He's the master. He's been preaching education for so long, it's unbelievable. So you have done a great job. Keith's done a great, all your panelists did fantastic. And we have some other interviews coming on later on in this telecast, so stay with us because there is more to come from the Binational Innovation Conference 2014 from South Texas College. Stay with us. Welcome back to the program, coming to you from the Binational Innovation Conference 2014 in South Texas College, and we have with us Dean Ali Ismaili. Dean Ismaili, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Now, you've been encouraging students and children, high school all the way up, to come to South Texas Community College, Alamo System, Victoria, Del Mar, Laredo Community College, and others, to come, but particularly to your college here at South Texas College in McAllen, to get involved and get trained for the future of energy with Eagle Ford Shale now going to Mexico. Why is this a college and or any community college the place to go? Why is it important?
Well, there's a big difference why they have to start at community college. Community college is a rapid response to the business and industries, and we have had several manufacturing that moved to our region. They ask for certain types of skilled workforce, and community college is a place to go. And we develop program in short period of time. We develop curriculum. We develop curriculum with the help
In
of
collaboration with employer.
We have advisory committee for all of our workforce program. So we put the program together right away, and as soon as the company is down here, we have the skilled employee ready for them.
Ready to go.
Ready to go. And same thing about this Eagle Ford Show. And this is going to be amazing what's going to happen in this region. But not just oil and gas, as Keith Patridge mentioned. It's talking about other energy resources that will join that huge progress and development in this region. You won't probably recognize, in 15 years, you won't recognize Brownsville, McAllen, Harlingen, Starr County area, Rio Grande is going to be huge.
Greater Corpus Christi, Alice,
Yeah.
all different.
I remember sometime I heard that Brownsville, McAllen will be the next Dallas-Fort Worth of United States, So it's happening right in front of our eyes,
Unbelievable.
It's incredible, yes. And we have, as you saw, quite a few leaders in the panel, and they discuss all their vision for this area, and is aligned with what I was thinking about in many years. I moved to this area in 1988, and everything that I thought is going to happen, so far happened, with the exception of RGV International Airport, that hopefully is going to happen with a fast train,
So as a teacher in Roma, going to Texas A&I in Kingsville, going back and forth, commuting every day, you were telling your class members, seniors, freshmen, sophomores, so forth. What were you telling them every day when they came to class?
Well, they were freshmen. When I was hired, when they hire new teachers,
Right.
they sort of started with freshmen, So I was freshman math teachers. So every morning when the student used to come to my class, I was by the door. I used to tell them, "Good morning, college students." And the kids were looking at me strange. Says, "We are not college students." I said, "No problem. Have a seat." And every day for 6 months, I've been telling them, and they were resisting to accept that they are college students. So finally, they sent a representative on their behalf to tell me, "Sir, if you leave us alone, we will go to college." And guess what? When in 1990, I was hired by TSTC Harlingen. In 1992, those freshmen, in 1988, they were my freshmen, graduated in 1992. And quite a few of them, they were my students in TSTC Harlingen, in math class. And I asked him, "What you doing here? You're not supposed to go to college. What happened?" He said, "Remember, sir, you were telling us we are college students. You brainwashed us, and we are here. That's why we are here." So we believe in our people. Believe in our youngster. They can compete with any youngster in any part of this country. They are intelligent. They can do it. It's just a matter of we have to let them know that they are special. They can do anything like any other youngster around the country. And we're proud of them. And some became doctors, lawyers, engineers. One is dentist in Edinburgh. There's one lawyer that right now is in San Antonio. There's some of those students that I had. Some received their masters. Those freshmen, 1988, they have
All
masters.
because every morning when
Every
they walked
morning.
in class,
Good
good
morning, college
morning, college student.
Yeah.
Dean Ali Ismaili, bless you, thank you for being on the program. We'll be
Thank you.
back in a moment, so stay tuned.
Thank you.
Hi, and welcome back to the program. Our coverage ongoing of the Binational Innovation Conference 2014, coming to you from the Technology Center of South Texas College at the McAllen Free Trade Zone. Joining us on the set now, Alex Mead, president of the Mission Economic Development Corporation. Alex, welcome to the typical classroom here at the
Excellent.
Technology
Excellent.
Center.
Yeah, very fitting.
Now, Alex, you have been very articulate in explaining why it's so important to, as we're going into this $1.7 trillion economic area, according to our featured speaker here today from BBV and Compass from their board, why is it important for people watching the program and the telecast, the webcast, to get their students to come to a community college, any college, get ready and trained up to take all these jobs that are going to be just happening almost overnight?
Ron, we can go recruit every company, but at the end of the day, they need the workforce. Oftentimes we get criticized because we don't go recruit the capital-intensive companies like the manufacturing companies or technology companies. But the reality is, and it's unfortunate, that the workforce is not there yet. We do have several hundred engineers graduating from the universities or the local institutions, but as you know, for one position, not all of them are going to get hired, and not only that, but oftentimes these big companies don't look for 300 engineers. They look for one or two. They look for a lot of the technicians, but not so much for the engineers. However, as we build that foundation, as we start being known as an area that has educated workforce, companies are going to seek out our communities. And I think everything that we're doing here today, everything that we're talking about today, that's what we're doing. We're building that foundation. And as Dr. Marin mentioned on our panel, we need to start moving up the value chain. We've always been towards the bottom because that's the foundation that we had set. Those are the skill sets that we had set. As we grow, we're starting to move ourselves up that value chain, and we can't do it without our educated workforce.
And that educated workforce, by and large, may be coming from colonias here in the valley, here in Dalton County, who has more colonias than any county in the state, or the 38 colonias in Oasis County in Corpus Christi,
Right.
or the colonias up in Laredo. I mean, and these are kiddos that are educatable and they're trainable, and within a couple of years, they've got a good paying job.
That's right,
Either with Pemex in Mexico with a visa or an Eagle Ford Shale.
That's right. Education doesn't discriminate. We'll take anybody, you know. And the thing is that, you know, I oftentimes say that the Valley has, you know, statistically, and I used to teach at the university in Brownsville, so I can attest to some of the other panelists. You know, we have, statistically, we're known as one of the most uneducated areas in the country. You know, our high school graduation rate is not very high, but it doesn't mean that we're not educatable. You know, it doesn't mean that we lack innovation. I mean, we have the capacity to innovate, and we have the capacity to produce some of the brightest students in the country. You know, what we lack is again, because of the area that we come from, is making them aware of the system that exists today that can allow them to move up to a higher level. And education is the key. Education is what makes you move up from one class to the next, you know. And we have the capacity. We have an area that is willing to learn, that is willing to grow. We just need to make them aware of that process.
Thank you, Mr. Alex Mead, President of the Mission Economic Development Corporation. Thank you for being with us. Now, as we conclude our coverage of the Binational Innovation Conference 2014 in South Texas College, we say adios.